right here so we can have our coffee while we do our video. Welcome back to Mr. Move Stuff Around every single week. This channel. I wanted to share something that I have been trying to solve without spending like $10,000. And I think I figured it out, at least in the way that really works well for my studio setup and how I like to work. So, if that sounds fun to you, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, this video is sponsored by Sweetwater. Something that is frustrating to me are monitor controllers. You know what I mean? Be able to switch between your speakers or your inputs to your speakers and, you know, the unit itself. And for whatever reason, there's so many that are just like these giant, they're almost like NPCs. They're huge and they have all these cables coming in the back and it's gross. I don't like that. I don't like big giant things just to be able to turn my volume up and down. So I found a workaround. The workaround is much cheaper than the monitor controller that I wanted, which is actually a great solution as well, but it's like $4 or $5 grand. It's pretty expensive. Today I'm going to talk to you about my monitor controller speaker selector speaker sub switcher meter solution. Is that a good YouTube title? So first let me explain the problem. The problem is I want a simple way to just reach and touch a volume knob where I'm sitting and not have it be this giant space heater with a bunch of buttons, as I said before, right? I want something simple. I also want to be able to switch between my outputs, my speakers, and I use a subwoofer, so I want to be able to use the sub with both sets of speakers, or not use the sub. So I found a couple products on Sweetwater that I could use all together that really solved this issue for a much lower cost. I'll link them down in the description, and thanks to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video and helping me solve this little issue here. So I want to highlight two of them. They're made by TC Electronics. The first one is beautiful. It's called the Level Pilot X, and this thing is just perfect. It's just a knob. So simple. It's $59 as well. So the fact that it's, I mean, I feel like that's priced right. Right? It's 59 bucks. It's a knob. Perfect. So you have your balanced XLR inputs to the knob, and then you have balanced XLR outputs to the knob. No power. It's just volume level, speaker level, right? In and out. So that is nice, and it looks so clean, and it also has amazing knob feel. That's right, knob feel. Look it up. It has just the right amount of tension, a smooth turn. It's doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels like very, very nice. So that is I can't believe how much I like this volume knob. I'm dead serious. And I will point out, they also have a version of this that has a couple speaker selectors. I believe it has 3 sets of outputs. So I imagine it's the same setup where it's got XLR ins and then it just has 3 stereo outs, which is a great alternative. And the other part of this setup that's made from TC Electronics is their Clarity M meter, which I will wrap back around to a little bit later in this video. But both of those are so awesome and a big part of my everyday workflow now. So check the links in the description if you guys are interested in checking those out for yourself. And they're also, again, pretty dang affordable as well, so that's cool. Okay, let's get back to it. Signal coming out of my audio interface, right? Going to the Level Pilot, the speaker volume knob. And then I'm coming out of that and I'm going to a product made by Coleman Audio. This is the SPK5+1 monitor switcher. Now this thing is interesting. It is a passive unit. It is a metal box, very reminiscent of like a monitor section on a console where you're switching between your speakers, because the click on these when you're switching through is a real mechanical, just hard. It's awesome. But what's cool about it is you have your balanced input to the box, right? So my volume out is going to the speaker selector in, right? So my volume's controlling the input level to the whole monitor controlling box. And then you have 5 speaker outs. Now this is great if you have a bunch of, I guess if you have 5 speaker outs. The way that I'm using it is I have 2 sets of speakers, but I also have a sub. And what I love about this is this has an actual separate signal path for the sub. So you can keep the sub as its own output and then individually mute it or unmute it with any of the speakers. So having this monitor switcher with the ability to go to a separate recorder or both sets of speakers with the sub in and out solves so many issues for me. It's awesome. All right, now coming out of my monitor selector, I'm going to 2 sets of speakers and a sub, as I said before. The first set of speakers are the Avantone CLA 10s. I've got a lot of questions about these speakers since I put them up. I got the Avantone CLA 10s with the, I believe it's the CLA 200 power amp. It's a bundle. I'll put a link down to it below if you guys want to check it out. I forgot that they made these. I just wanted to try. I didn't want to go through the hassle of like getting old NS10s and then trying to figure out, oh, I got to change this or that. I just wanted to just get it and see how it was. And dude, they're awesome. They are very, very useful for me, and I'm using them all the time. They are workhorse speakers, and I gotta say the amp, everything, it sounds awesome. It's powerful and can handle like pretty loud volume. So that's cool. And using the CLA 10s with the sub, that's a game changer. I never use it without the sub. You know, some guys are one way or the other. Sometimes I'll turn the sub off and check things, but most of the time I'm using the sub on with those speakers. And then of course we have the big boys here, the Focal Trio 6 BE 8-inch powered monitors, which those things, man, those things are heavy hitters. Now those are 3-way studio monitor speakers. They are very expensive and very amazing. Quick little side, one of the things I did when I got the Coleman speaker switcher is I turned the sub off and I put the Focals in focus mode, which changes the speaker from a 3-way speaker with the subwoofer and turns that off, so it's a 2-way speaker, and it gives you that more of a flat mid-range focused sound out of a big giant 3-way speaker, which is crazy. And then I would flip between those Focals in focus mode and the CLA 10s, and it's pretty close. The main like difference that I'm hearing is that since I have the 3-way speakers further from me, there's that extra space in between, and that's a big thing with me, that I want like both worlds. I want the near fields that sound crappy and they're right here on the desk, you know, all of the things wrong, and then the big 3-ways with the nice positioning and the space and just the full resolutions, frequency. It just sounds great. And I'm also using a sub with both speakers. It is the Focal Sub 6. I believe it's an 11-inch subwoofer. You can check, again, links to all this stuff is down in the description, but it's great as well. Works perfectly with this whole system. So all of that, we've got the Apollo output to the TC Electronics volume knob, the level pilot. Out of that to the Coleman Audio monitor switcher with the sub mute, so sick. Going to the speakers, and then to wrap it all up, since, you know, I'm on this like Danger Fox desk and I have it set up with all my favorite stuff in it, but it's not a console, right? It just is like familiar to a console, right? I've got analog pre's, I've got analog compressors and gear and a monitor switcher and all that stuff. So it feels in operation like a console, but the circuitry and the routing and stuff is different than how a console operates. So one of the things that's missing is a meter bridge. So I actually found this meter from TC Electronics called the Clarity M, which is such a cool solution. I think it's actually probably more useful for like mastering guys because it's got all kinds of ways to meter things that I don't even want to understand. But I love being able to see my levels. I love being able to see the frequencies that are coming in on the source or that I'm referencing if I'm listening back to something. It is very cool. It has several different inputs to it, so you can go USB and use it as a plugin on your master fader in your DAW, and that'll send right to the meter. Or you can go digital out of your interface, which this one is my personal favorite. On the Apollos, on your monitoring menu in console, you can set your AES digital outs to mirror monitoring. It's a mode called mirror monitoring. I don't know why I can't talk today. And that just basically anything that comes in or out of your audio interface that you're playing back, even if it's on YouTube or if it's something you have through an aux cable or you're just plugging your guitar in, it's anything that's coming out to your speakers from your interface, you're seeing on the TC Electronics Clarity M meter, which is my favorite. I love this, especially when mixing, to be able to reference the meter on my reference songs or on anything just coming in, just seeing that thing moving. It makes it, let's be honest, it just makes recording and mixing more fun. But having that extra information, you know, particularly with the LUFS meter, the loudness, you got all of that live in real time as you're going. That can be pretty helpful to be able to see that. And I think that's like a $300, $329 or something like that for the meter, which is a great deal. And they did a great job of making it like up to date, you know, so it's not like something that only works with very old technology. You can plug it right into your MacBook Pro, or if you use a PC or whatever you're using, it's set up really well. So I love that. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? This setup here is kind of a hodgepodge of different types of gear. It's not a simple, like, just buy one thing and it does it all. But these things all together, I mean, I think the TC Electronics Level Pilot X is $59. The monitor switcher is like $400 or $500. I mean, that's really the setup right there. And then the Clarity meter is 300 something. So if you go with the meter and everything, that's still under $1,000. And that's kind of, for me, you know, the only thing that's lacking in this setup is having multiple inputs to my system. But I would just do that to my interface because I have inputs on my interface, right? So let me know what you guys think of this setup down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on, drink some coffee. Have a good rest of your day.